Hey y'all, welcome back to Homemade Simple. I'm really glad you're here today. If we've not met before, I'm Lori. I love to share videos each week to help encourage you on your homemaking and frugal living journey. Last week, I was able to share some exciting news with y'all from our homestead about our little baby goats being born, and I thought it would be a great opportunity for us to sit down and talk a little bit about what homesteading is, the pros and cons, and ways you might be able to implement homesteading in your home and on your property. I guess at the beginning of a discussion about any topic, it's really good to lay down a definition so that we can all be on the same page. The good and bad thing about homesteading is there's not really a concrete definition of what homesteading really is, and so it is a little bit ambiguous. Is what I'm doing homesteading or is it not? It also is a really good opportunity for us to make our own definition and to create our own version of homesteading that works best for our family. So I'm going to share with you what my definition of homesteading is. You may have a completely different idea or concept of what homesteading is, but just for this video, I was going to share what I think homesteading is to me. Homesteading to me is the journey that my family is on to become more of a producer and less of a consumer. Every time I'm able to produce something in my home or on my property that avoids the need for me to go and source that elsewhere, I am making a huge step in being a more proficient homesteader. I'm never going to get to the place where I'm able to be a 100% producer and a 0% consumer. That's not even on my radar. That's really not even something I'm even aiming for. So success as a homesteader for me is not providing 100% of my family's needs from our home and our property. That's not my end goal. It may be yours, and that's wonderful. But as long as I am making a journey toward being more of a producer and less of a consumer, I will feel like I'm staying true to my homesteading mission. I would love to know what your idea of a homesteader or what your definition of homesteading is. I hope that you will leave your ideas and definitions in the comments below. And I think the more engagement we get on that topic, the more it will sort of make the point that there's no right or wrong answer. There's no right or wrong way to homestead or to become a homesteader. It just has to be sort of an organic, go at your own pace, do it the best way for you and your family, to rely more heavily on the resources that you have been given and to reduce your reliance on outside sources. One thing that if you are a homesteader, will know for sure is this takes a really long time. And if you haven't begun your homesteading journey yet, I want you to know that the thing that you are going to learn the most as you become a homesteader is patience. And I think patience is a lost art in our society today. I'm sure that impatience has been a part of each and every generation throughout the history of man. But I really feel like impatience is just really something that is a marker for our generation. And I don't think that's a good thing. Homesteading is going to teach you to learn how to wait. You cannot flip a switch and everything be exactly like you want it and everything be perfect when you begin this homesteading journey. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's not possible to happen overnight. So take, for instance, chickens. Chickens are jokingly called the gateway of homesteading, and I think that's an excellent place to start. It's where we started too. But when you get chickens, most people are going to go out to the feed store or go online and order baby chicks. And when you get the chicks, they're going to be less than a week old, and you are really excited, ready to begin this homesteading journey, only to find out that it's going to be 3, 4, maybe even 6 months before you get that first egg. So this just demonstrates the amount of patience that's going to be required for you to begin this homesteading journey. And it does not stop with chickens. When you have larger animals, you are going to be responsible for making sure that they are bred. You're going to think that they are bred and they're not, and then you're going to have to wait 10 months, even longer if something happens and you have to start over, before you're even able to get any milk from the milk cow. If you're going to grow your own crops, you've got to start with a seed. It's going to take a long time for that seed to grow into the plant that's going to then grow the fruit or vegetable that you're hoping to grow on your homestead. Everything about homesteading is a process, and being taught to learn how to wait is a really beneficial thing that I have received from homesteading, and I think it's also one of the best things that my children can learn from this kind of lifestyle as well. Even though there's a lot of time involved in getting to where you want to be as a homesteader, there's no definition of what a homestead has to look like. And that's really good news, especially for people who have small houses or apartments with very little to no outside resources. If you live in an apartment, you may feel like you cannot be a homesteader, but I really feel like you have plenty of opportunities to be a producer, even there in a small home environment. With no access to a garden bed or anything like that, you can grow your own vegetables in some soil and a flower pot on your windowsill. There's also hydroponic gardens that are popping up all over Walmart, Amazon. I will link one down below that I have, and it allows you to grow different fruits and vegetables from seeds using just water. You don't even have to have very much soil at all. It takes very little time, very little effort, and very little space to be able to begin growing your own food in your own kitchen. So don't count yourself out, even if you do not have a large yard or acreage at your disposal. There's a topic that people are really quick to talk about whenever we're talking about homesteading, and that is the term self-sufficiency. I don't really love this term. I know exactly what people are meaning, and I think it's really helpful for us to use our resources wisely so that we can be less reliant on large corporations. But instead of focusing on self-sufficiency, what I have tried to do is build a community of like-minded people that will help me have the resources that I need to supply my family with the things that we are going to need on a regular basis. The more people that I find to invite into my homesteading community, the more resources that will be available whenever we have a need, it will be able to be supplied by those people in that community instead of a large corporation. These people that I've been able to build and invite into my community do care about the well-being of my family and what's best for us as a group and as a whole. In this small community that I have been able to begin building, I have found wonderful friends, and I've also been able to find really good sources for food for my animals, meat chickens, honey, as well as a huge knowledge base that I'm able to draw from to learn the things that I need to know in order to make our homestead better and more efficient. So I'm excited to build this community of like-minded people who are willing to help me on my journey to become more educated about the things that I need to know to be able to use my resources the best way that I can. I don't have to do it all on my own. I don't have to know everything. I just have to put the effort into building relationships with people who know a lot more about this lifestyle than I do and who are willing to help me to make me a better homesteader in the long run. So instead of focusing on self-sufficiency, I think a better way for us to be as successful as possible on our own homesteads is to build a community of people who we know will have our best interests at heart, who will help us to reach our best potential and our homesteading goals. We all know that homesteading is not easy. So why would someone decide to live this lifestyle? I can share a personal experience with you to explain why I'm so thankful that Chris and I have chosen this way of life. In the last couple of years, I know everyone has experienced, at least on some level, the fear involved in empty shelves at the supermarket. And I will tell you from my personal experience, that anxiety was very much decreased because I knew that no matter how bad the scarcity became, we would always have access on our property to the things that my family would need. So we have milk from our milk cow. We have eggs from our chickens. If it came to it, we would have plenty of protein from the chickens themselves, as well as being able to grow fruits and vegetables on our land to supply for the needs of our family, no matter what was going on in the supermarkets or in the world markets for that matter. It just brought us a sense of relief and security to know that we were going to have access to the things that we needed physically, even if things got really, really bad. And I think that that security is the major benefit of homesteading. So if you have been feeling a lot of anxiety about the empty shelves or the current economic situations, I think homesteading is a really good answer to all of those concerns. You're not going to be able to supply your family with everything, but you will be able to put yourself in a position where you're not afraid that you're not going to be able to eat if something happens in your community. Homesteading has also brought me a really huge sense of accomplishment. When you're able to make something out of little or nothing, it really makes you feel capable. And I think that there's so much benefit mentally, spiritually, and physically to those kinds of feelings. The sense of accomplishment of being able to make something greater than it was when I first received it. Of course, what most people think about when they think about homesteading is the control of the quality of goods that you're providing for your family. If I don't want pesticides on my fruits and vegetables, the best way for me to prevent that is for me to grow those fruits and vegetables on my own. So if you are a homesteader, you are able to have complete control of the products that you put on your table for your family to consume. Here in Alabama, the only way for us to have the raw dairy that I wanted my family to have was to either buy into a herd share or get my own cow. There's really not any other option. If that's what I want for my family, I had to take the responsibility on myself to get that kind of quality to fulfill my family's needs. Homesteading has allowed me to have more control over the food and resources that I have available for my family. And the peace of mind that that gives me is really beyond value. And I think one of the greatest benefits of homesteading is the simple life that it allows. Obviously, I am a proponent of simple and simplified living. The name of my channel is Homemade Simple. But the reflective nature that a homesteading lifestyle provides is one that really is so beneficial and so valuable. And I think that reflectiveness is something that's so missing from our society in general, that whenever we do find a lifestyle that points us in that direction of simplified living, it just really shines so brightly on the benefits and values of that particular lifestyle. That's what I found in homesteading. Being outside and being forced to work at a slower pace, because you do have to be patient and you do have to learn to wait, is so beneficial and so valuable. And I think that it is really something that's going to help our children on down the road when they hit stages in their lives where things just seem to be hard and they don't know which way to go. I think that my kids will know to slow down and to think and to pray and to be reflective. And I think that this homesteading lifestyle is really going to contribute to their ability to slow down and reflect and think about the next best thing. To just enjoy life as it happens and to be grateful and thankful for the resources that we've been given and to try to use them wisely. I just think that homesteading builds such a sense of peace for a family. I really think that it's one of my life's greatest blessings. I've given you plenty of reasons why I think homesteading is wonderful and amazing and a great choice for your life. But why would you not choose homesteading? If you are thinking about getting into homesteading to save money, don't, because it's not going to save you money. It's going to cost you. It's going to cost you resources. It's going to cost you time. It's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you heartbreak and effort. There are no ends to the costs of homesteading, just as there are no ends to the benefits. So if you are getting into homesteading solely to save money, it is a mistake and it's not going to work out the way you think it will. Another reason why you may not should choose to homestead is it is a physically and emotionally draining process. If you have physical limitations, those are things that you really need to take into consideration when you're thinking about homesteading and what homesteading is going to look like for you and your family. Also, I will tell you that homesteading is deeply emotional, a roller coaster of emotions. And if you are not well equipped for emotional ups and downs, homesteading may not be a very good choice for you, especially if you're thinking about homesteading with animals. Animals bring so much joy and so much pleasure, and I'm so thankful that I have each and every one of them. But I have had my fair share of losses, and I am an emotional person in general, and so I take those losses very personally. And there's no measure of the amount of tears that I have cried in sorrow and sadness and regret about the losses that I've experienced. I know that this sorrow and loss is going to be a part of the journey. And that's just something that I've had to accept and I've had to come to terms with. And if you're not able to handle those kinds of ups and downs of emotions, maybe that form of homesteading is not really best for you and your family. But really, I sat and thought for a really long time. And those are the only two real reasons that I could think of why you shouldn't homestead. There's just not a lot of reasons why you shouldn't choose this way of life. I know that's probably shaded a little from my love for this lifestyle, so you'll have to take that for what it's worth. But I really do think that the simplified, blessed life of homesteading is really one that almost anyone can benefit from. Okay, so now that we've talked about what homesteading is and the pros and cons of homesteading in general, maybe we can talk about a few ideas to get you started on your homesteading journey. Just like I said before about being able to be even in an apartment setting and be able to be a homesteader, you can start small. You don't have to start big to be able to be successful at homesteading. If you can just begin by replacing one item that you normally source from the store, learn how to source it at home and make it yourself, that is an excellent way to begin cultivating a homesteader mentality in your home. So just little by little, replace the things that you buy from the store with a homemade alternative. The possibilities are endless here, so just use your own imagination and creativity. I have some videos about making your own cleaning products. That might be a really good place to start. You can think about how to make some of the prepackaged items that you buy at the grocery store, how to make those on your own. This is just a way for you to sort of change your mindset and shift into more of a homesteader mentality. If you have a little more space and a little more ambition, you can begin by getting maybe 3 or 4 chicks and raise them into laying hens. This is going to be a longer process, so it probably will take maybe 6 months before these chicks begin to produce an egg, but I promise you, nothing is going to excite you more than that first egg that you have worked so hard to produce. It's a little bit of a delayed gratification, but the gratification is huge. You can also go to the store and buy a few seeds and put them in some potting soil or some dirt from your property and begin to grow a small or medium-sized garden. Springtime is a perfect time for both of these projects to begin. Getting chicks in the springtime is perfect because it's going to get warmer. By the time that they're feathered out and ready to go outside, it's going to be nice and warm in the evenings, and the timing is going to work out perfect. Also, I'm not sure when your growing season starts. In Alabama, we have a very long growing season. So if I'm going to start some seeds indoors, I can go ahead and begin starting some of those seeds this month for my garden that I can plant in late April or early May. And you can also start now to begin to develop a network in your community of like-minded people who will help you to reach all of your homesteading goals once you get to a place where you're ready to begin this journey. So start today finding people in your neighborhood and in your community who will help you to develop the skills and knowledge base that you need to be able to be a homesteader in the near or distant future. If you can grow your own sourdough starter, you're going to be able to make bread without having to buy yeast from the grocery store. Small steps like these are going to help you to reduce your reliance on the grocery store and will build your ability to produce your own goods and services at your home. Well, we've talked about a lot of the benefits and risks involved in homesteading and the pros and cons. I hope that you have learned something from this video. If you have any specific questions, I would love to interact with you on this topic down in the comment section below. So feel free to reach out to me and ask any question about homesteading, and I'll be sure to be checking those message boards and interacting with you as much as I can. I hope that you now have a little bit more knowledge base to make some of the good decisions about your future and your homesteading plan. Next week, we're going to get back to our normal homemaking, budget-friendly recipe videos. So I hope you will join me for next Friday's video. Until then, I love you. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time.